it would be wonderful for the UK to crash out of the European Union with no deal. This isn't what we were promised. We were promised an oven-ready deal. Boris and his ministers have been talking about a Canada-style deal. And here we are, just 24 hours before this thing concludes. And at the end of this month, we're going to crash out with a no-deal Brexit. Is this what you voted for? And for those of you who voted for Brexit, did you bargain on having a no-deal? Are you happy that we're going to have a no-deal Brexit? Or are you really dismayed that Boris Johnson and his government have botched this whole thing? And there must be people listening who are really, really alarmed at what's about to happen to this great country. And what is about to happen to this country if we crash out with no deal? Well, the first thing we'll get on January the 1st is a currency crisis. The pound will fall through the floor is what will happen on January the 1st if we crash out with no deal. What's the next thing that will happen? We'll have queues at Dover. They're estimating at the moment up to 7,000 trucks could stack up the motorways leading to Dover and the other side of the channel. That's what will happen if we crash out with no deal. What's the next thing that will happen? Well, forget the January sales, because there'll be huge tariffs at the supermarkets for food and all sorts of things that we import from the European Union. So what we'll get is huge food price inflation and shortages of some products, in part because of those hauliers that can't get through because the roads are jammed, but also because prices will be going up between 3 and 5%. By the way, this is in the middle of a pandemic. It's in the middle of a pandemic. I haven't even mentioned that the economy's shot to bits because of the way they've handled this whole, one rule 1 week, the next rule the next week, and all the rest of it. So in the middle of a pandemic, we've also got more problems with food shortages and price inflation. Never mind. Where does this leave the Good Friday Agreement and Northern Ireland and the promises we made to those good people? I remember growing up during the 70s and 80s with bombs going off. My God, can you believe it? And now he says it would be wonderful. Those were his words. If we crashed out with no deal. If you were thinking of buying a car, by the way, in the new year to set yourself up, forget it. 10% tariffs immediately on car prices as a consequence of falling out of the European. Were you going to go to the European Union? Maybe on a holiday, a little break over half term or something. If assuming that we got out, you got the vaccine and all the rest of it, forget it. We're going to have huge problems with passports and queuing up. Forget all that insurance that you got, the health insurance, if you go over to the European Union, forget all of it. These are just a smattering of the problems as a consequence of a no-deal Brexit. This was not the Brexit that we were promised. Nothing like the Brexit that we were promised by Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, remember them, leading the campaign, and Gisela Stewart from my party, and Frank Field and others leading that campaign. This was not what we were promised. It was not what we were promised.